Hey guys, we're back again. By popular demand, I have a couple of guys back with us today to start off our episode. Dagan couldn't make it; he had a conflict, but I've got Jay and Bryan here again, to kind of do our introduction for the day. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you got as far as I can tell on this deal, you got like really smart people who used to live in Sudan, like Wade Donnell or Andy Carr or Tina, or you got people that like did something like I don't know. You had Charla and Marcia Sharp, or you got preachers, or
And then
the
there's
last
us.
category is me and Bryan talking about toilet paper.
Yeah,
So I don't know why that's popular, but
I don't know either. People are hard
Hey,
to
there
watch them.
oh, you guys were up at the top, so
I don't have anything else to do, so I'm glad to do it.
Yeah,
well, listen, we have a lot to talk about. I guess lots gone on since we were on here before. I know you guys kind of had a couple little topics. We thought we'd just kind of open it up and discuss a few things before we get into our show. So, Baker, you got anything to bring to the?
Oh, I was just thinking that I don't know about it in Colorado, but our governor's going to open everything back up on May the 1st, pretty much, for most things. And I know I'm ready to go somewhere and eat. I'm tired of eating my food, my cooking, and takeout's okay, but it's not the same as sitting in there. So I thought we might just name a couple of places that we like to go eat sometimes. And it doesn't have to be local. It could be, I know you travel a lot, so I'll go first to give you a minute to think. And, I think, I don't know if you've ever been to New Orleans, but there's a place down there called Galatori's. And me and Billy Tiller and Brent Nelson and Chris Humphreys went down there for a deal 2 or 3 years ago, and I'd heard about their fried chicken, and it's not on their menu. So we ordered it, and of course that night they said, "Well, we don't serve it on certain nights." So we went back the next night and we ordered fried chicken. It's on the bone like Grandma made. It's the best fried chicken I think I've ever had. It's amazing. So if you ever get down there and you're looking for something other than shells and oysters, that's an option there. So and then I love going to Vegas, and they got rid of my favorite steakhouse, which was Nine, but there's one. It's Southwest, which is in the Wynn. It's really good. And if you sit outside, they have an outdoor show while you sit out there, so it's pretty neat. So
Wow,
if you're out in those places, so
wow, yeah. I haven't eaten yet, so we're not having fried chicken either. My wife's from Wisconsin. She doesn't fry chicken,
they
but
don't have chicken up there, huh?
um, I have been to New Orleans. I've been to Galatori's. That's a primo one. You know what comes to mind? I used to go to Philadelphia a lot for work, and I'm a big sandwich guy, but the cheesesteak, that's a real deal.
Mhm.
If you go to Philly, and I made it my personal mission to try to have every cheesesteak in Philadelphia, but I think not just that, but the Italian food you get there, or the pizza, or really whatever you can get there. I'm a big Philadelphia guy. Not the Eagles. I hate the Eagles, but just from a food or a history standpoint, I think that's fine.
So
Um,
is their pizza more like New York style, or is
yeah,
it?
it was
Oh,
more New York style, and that's the other one for me is Chicago. Of course, I lived up in Milwaukee, for 4 years or so, and you could take the train downtown there. But I love Chicago style pizza too, or the Chicago Chop House. There's a steakhouse downtown there that I love. Or there's a couple of delis over there where you get these giant corned beef or pastrami sandwiches that I don't know. I've been lucky, like you said. I've gotten to just because of my work. I've gotten to
yeah.
go a lot of places, but those are two. Or if you're ever in Sao Paulo, Brazil, go to
Next time I'm
the the original whatever those Brazilian steakhouses. They have them all over the place this year. We went
Yeah.
there, man. And you talk about the meat sweats. My God, that I if anyone's ever down there, I go to the Fogo de Chao. That's what they're called. Yeah, I highly
You got
recommend it.
you got any place, Monty, that you're
I was thinking my palate's probably not as quite sophisticated as you guys. I'd like to go to Underwood's down in Abilene.
Oh yeah.
Downwood, and then of course, I don't think it's quite as good as it used to be, but I love going through Abilene used to and eating at the old Joe Allen's, which that one you had to hit. Back in the day when you ate in Old Shack, they moved to a nicer restaurant, and the steaks just aren't the same. But traveling wise, one of the this isn't so much restaurant wise, but probably one of the neater things that I've ever ate away from home was a salt encased sea bass. They brought that thing out. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but they cooked it. I mean, it was covered in rock salt. Brought this thing out to the table, and I thought, I don't know how we're supposed to eat this. And they broke the salt shell that was around it, and it was a whole fish that was cooked inside that salt. They took a knife and a spoon and filleted it right there and put the fillet on our plate. Some of the best sea bass that I've ever had, and it was salt-crusted sea bass, I think is what they termed it. But anyway.
Nice.
That was a little.
Jay, Monty will eat anything, so you can't really go by him. We were on a beach one time in Mexico, and some guy was cooking a fish right there on the beach, and that's what Monty got to eat for lunch. So,
I always like to go and find where all the people that work there eat. That's what I do.
I used to go to Los Angeles a lot for work too, and I mean, it hadn't been that long ago, but food trucks probably weren't what they were. Well, maybe they were in LA, but they weren't anywhere else. But you go get tacos on the street in Los Angeles, or you can find anything you want, man.
Yeah.
But that's some of the best food. And I don't like sushi. I'm not a sushi fan, but I've actually had some really good sushi out there too. If you're talking about wanting to eat some bait, but
yeah, that's what Terry Bradshaw called it. Yeah. Hey, y'all making me think, and it's one of those things. I hope by the time we get to the fall, we're back to a sense of normalcy. But man, it's pretty hard to just beat some old junky fair food too. You feel bad after you eat it, but I'm always kind of ready for it.
Oh yeah,
fried homemade corn dog or the big long corn dogs and man.
Well, the thing for me living up here in Colorado, which is great by 9 out of 10, but the food, you cannot find a chicken fried steak. There's not a decent chicken fried steak.
You probably can't find queso up there
400 miles or Mexican food. I mean, there's Mexican food everywhere, but not Tex-Mex, with the good old Leal's, the good old cheese enchilada, or, the Joe Road special usually is my go-to over there. But I miss the food more than anything except for my mom.
Yeah, that's a nice recovery.
Yeah.
On the Neighbors to Neighbors channel, the guys got to talking a while back, but one of the topics they got to talk about the El Monterey that used to be out in Clovis.
Oh yeah.
I can remember a kid going out there with my grandparents, but that used to be a big hot Sudan hangout, probably predated Leal's. So for me,
what was the one in Littlefield was what, Tasty Taco or something like that?
Yeah, Taco 2. It was up by Gio.
Yeah.
If you remember that. I don't know if
the only Mexican food I had was taquitos down there at the Dairy Bee.
Hey, and nobody ever picked that as the thing that reminded them most of Sudan. I was kind of disappointed because those taquitos, but it was all about the sauce.
Yeah.
Put that taquita sauce on that taquita burger. That was good. So.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in the Dairy Bee when I was a kid. Go in there with my granddad. Well, Bryan's granddad, Calvin, would be in there. Or you name it, man. You drink
we ate
coffee.
A lot of lunches in there.
Well, back in the day of the old Dairy Bee dining area, they couldn't have even had two people in there with social distancing if they opened that back up. No. You remember when they just had the 3 tables in there? I mean, it was very little room in the very back of it. So
do y'all? There's been a lot of Sudan restaurants. Of course, my folks had my dad and my granddad had the main place.
Oh,
down there for a few years.
That was right.
Yeah, that was pretty
the department store.
My great grandmother. I mean, maybe my grandmother or my great grandmother worked in there for a little bit.
Yeah. There was a lot of. I mean, I was just a kid when all that was going on, and they had of course, Beller's department store.
Oh yeah.
Or you go get one of those iron-on T-shirts.
That was a big deal. Here you had to get the new shirt for the football.
Yeah, and then Yeah, there was a Deluxe Cafe was down the street.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That one was there for a really long time.
Yeah, Patty Newsom ran
And
that.
Deb took open after that. Deb had it. Deb's Diner.
Yeah, Deb's Diner. I think Mike Fisher had the main place before we
Yeah.
did, and then I think Norman Humphreys changed it to the Hornet's Nest there.
Hornet's Nest, that's right.
The burgers were good though. I'll tell you what, I miss those.
Yeah.
Where our insurance office is, where my real estate office is now, but the old insurance office, Pete told me that used to be Snaky Wright's Cafe. And
Yeah, I've heard of that.
yeah,
Snake.
I mean, that's a cool name, and that's like something out of a movie. You're gonna go down to Snaky Wright's. So,
And we had the Sands Motel, which I barely remember it, but the one thing I remembered about it is they had good Coca-Cola. For some reason, I remembered that being good. Maybe it's because it's the only place I could get one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Son Qualls lived out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, I don't remember that.
When I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
He lived out there.
I remembered where he went for just a little while. Didn't he live just right where the trailer park is now, just right across the street? I think before he lived in that last house he lived in, he lived there too. It seems like there was a little house there that he did. But,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it may have. I remember the house, the one you're talking about, just behind the Church of Christ there where he lived.
yeah, that was the one when we were in high school. He'd always want you to take him home and
Get me right. Yeah.
I used to
up
give him
here,
rides.
shine your light, and he'd want you to shine that light. He'd flash his door light when he got to his house so you could pull out. He didn't want you. If you left before that,
Never.
he'd get mad at you.
Son, he never called me. Of course, he never called me by my name. He called me Maston.
He called me Lance. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
Maston.
I was Baker.
well, you got lucky. You got yours right. I mean,
Shoot the ball
Yeah.
like mama.
yeah.
He used to rebound for me.
Boy, I tell you, I used to
I
love
still-
to go to that Queens Classic though and watch him sink those free shots, man.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah,
I was
man.
fixing to say. He'd make $10 every time you get to shoot 5 of them and get a $2 bill.
I remember that. That was something.
He was balling over there, man.
Oh yeah,
He'd do those little dances down on the sidelines when
yeah.
they'd play Rock Around the Clock or whatever.
Yeah. I remember going over there. I think it was when your sister was playing, Jay, but we watched, I think South Oak Cliff came there once and we beat them.
Yeah, they did. They beat them.
That was something else.
They did.
Yeah.
They would. I think they won the 5A state championship that year, and
Wow.
we didn't end up going to state, but
Yeah.
we didn't beat them. But I mean, I was thinking about that when I was watching that little deal that you guys did with them. But
With your mom's favorite kid.
yeah, my mom's favorite kid. I was thinking the one thing that struck me about that was like somebody asked my mom about being pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to always say that was why Charlotte was so good a basketball player because my mom was coaching while she had her.
Yeah.
I think she got into some pretty heavy narcotics later when she had me. So I never.
When she got to you. Yeah.
We don't talk about that much in my family, but I think that's maybe what happened. But no, sorry, I didn't. But yeah, that Queens Classic, you had Levelland, Nazareth, Sudan.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Sudan routinely beat those teams that won the 4 and 5A.
Yeah.
They just couldn't beat
Right.
Nazareth a lot of years,
Yeah.
which nobody could.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting times.
Well, yeah, I remember a couple of times too when we'd be down at the state tournament, like Marcia Sharp was talking about. I mean, if you ever got out of Region 1, your odds of winning state were very good. I mean, I would bet that there are probably a lot of years that Nazareth won that thing. And probably could have beaten anything in that tournament. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Sudan was probably the second best.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't there. I mean, we gave them all they wanted a lot of years. Hey, speaking of basketball, I got a couple things here.
Okay.
I have some old here. Speaking of great Sudan teams, my mom is very good about. She writes a lot of stuff down or leaves me. Here's the 1938 Sudan Hornets, right here.
Pull it over to the corner up the other way. Yep.
You see it?
Yeah. Back.
My grandpap, he's the tallest guy there.
That would be my guess. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of a cool picture.
Yeah.
Is that
I like those
the old high school, isn't it?
Yeah. My granddad, he used to. He's told me before that year they played Lubbock High. They beat Lubbock High. They beat Clovis.
Wow.
They used to play, and he actually got a scholarship to go to WT.
Wow.
To play football and basketball.
So were they considered Class B then?
I don't know. I don't know what they were.
You know, there was a time when we were Class B, and then there was a time we were like 2A or something. Seemed like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if any of that existed back then.
Yeah,
I don't know.
may not have.
Well, for a while there was kind of a big stink over that because they didn't let B schools play in the playoffs. I think Sudan could play a regular season, but they didn't go so far with the Class B. And when we went to state in '89, my grandmother put together a little scrapbook, but I had an article in there that a guy wrote when we were in school, but he was reminiscing about how Sudan had beat a lot of when they were playing Class B ball, they had beat a lot of the teams that were up above them. They played some close games. I think that year that Littlefield, and I don't want to get criticized out there if I get this wrong, but I think it was the year maybe that Littlefield went so far back. My granddad was actually playing. I think he graduated the year before that at Littlefield, but I think Sudan and Littlefield tied in a game. Yeah. Ralph May and those guys were playing, and then Littlefield won. Went on.
My granddad, he used to always say that Ralph May was the best football player that he ever saw.
Yeah,
Sudan.
I've heard a lot of people say that. And
hey, do you guys? Speaking of great Sudan basketball teams, do you guys remember this one?
Well, Jay, it's funny you brought that up because I remember the greatest continental major champions in 1984.
Well, guys, I hope y'all enjoy listening to us as much as we love to just rattle on and on and on. But we had a lot of fun doing those interviews or those talks. We've enjoyed getting catch up with Jay, who's sequestered up in Colorado. But we've got some more of that we can play later. We've got a really long show today, so we're going to cut on ahead and go into our main segments. We're really happy for you to be here with us for another episode of the Community Stream. This is going to be our last Thursday episode of the Community Stream as we're going to move to once a week programming after this. We're hoping that the Community Stream is going to be something that we can continue to do even after the pandemic. We love the way that it's been a way for us to keep up with one another, let people know things that are going on in the area, and hopefully we can expand on this as we move forward. So I appreciate all the support. Again, I want to really thank Donna Smith and Lacy Magby. Lacy's going to you're going to get to see Lacy today. She's going to do one of our interviews, so we're excited to get her involved in that. But she's been doing a lot behind the scenes. So first off, we're going to have Mike Hill with the Volunteer Fire Department and the EMT. He's going to talk to us primarily about the things that the EMTs had to deal with in Sudan and how they're making that all work. They always do just a great job for us, and we look forward to hearing from them. Also, we're going to have Lisa Edwards and Missy Shultz. They're going to be with us talking to us from Muleshoe Area Medical Clinic or Medical Center. They're going to talk to us. They are both physical therapists, and they're going to talk to us about how they are working around the challenges of the pandemic and also tell us a little bit about why they chose to live in Sudan, what they're doing today and with their families and just catching up. It's kind of a combination area spotlight on a resident and also where are they now segment. After that, we're going to go to Dean Richards. Dean is a longtime Sudan resident, but they moved a few years ago to Lubbock, and he is an outreach minister with the Church on the Rock and the Lubbock Dream Center. And Dean's doing some great things out there, really making Sudan proud. And he, I just talked to him the other day and asked him if he could come and bring an encouraging word for the community. A lot of you guys know Dean. You know his dad, Kenneth, who sang for us the other day and talked to us about getting the gazebo project done in town. So we really look forward to hearing from Dean, and I think you're going to really enjoy what he brings to you today. Listen, we have a really good episode. We need to get to it. I'm glad you're joining us. Again, we're going to start programming next week on Tuesday. It'll be our once-a-week programming lineup. We look forward to that, and thank you for being with us on the Community Stream.
Good morning. For those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Lacy Magby. I am a 2002 graduate of Sudan High School, and I'm excited to be a part of the Community Stream. Today we have Mike Hill, the Fire Chief here in Sudan. And Mike, we're so excited that you're able to join us today.
I'm glad to be here.
All right. So we wanted to talk to you for a minute about things going on at the fire and EMS station up here in Sudan. And we're living really in an interesting time right now due to COVID-19. And Has that put any additional strain on Sudan's emergency services?
Well, it has put some strain on us, so we're having to do things a lot different than what we're normally used to doing. We're having to respond a little different. We're having to wear some more protective gear. We're having to actually kind of get away from some of the things that kind of separate us and make us what I think is a special service in this area, because we're not being able to be quite as personable. And what I mean by that is, normally if you call for an ambulance here in Sudan or Sudan area, you know, normally if you're somewhere else, you're going to get 1 or 2 people. Here, you're going to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you're going to see them all. You're probably going to know most of them, and you're going to really feel like maybe somebody's really trying to take care of you. Now, with all of this going on, and it does depend somewhat on what kind of a call it is, but if anything that has to do any way at all could conceivably be having to deal with this virus, you're going to see one person. He's going to come in. We're going to figure out, do you need to go to the hospital, which is another difference that we normally don't do. Normally, if you call us and say, I think I want to go to the hospital, we're going to take you. Now, with some of this, we've been asked to not necessarily diagnose what's going on, but take the symptoms and look and see if you actually qualify, was kind of the way they put it, to go to the hospital. Now, that being said, if you're adamant and want to go, we're going to take you. So yeah, it's been a lot different than what our normal is. Go ahead.
Sorry. Have y'all seen an increase or even a decrease in the calls that you guys are getting?
We're in a very, very noticeable decrease. This is actually the slowest that we have ever been since this is going on. I don't know if everybody's staying home as they tend to be healthier, or it's just like an instance this morning, which I can't get into much, but had a person this morning that didn't really want to call us because they were afraid that maybe we wouldn't want to respond, because they had a couple of symptoms that go along with some of this COVID-19 stuff. That being said, there's lots of different illnesses that has a lot of these same symptoms. So, you know, if you've got a fever, if you have a cough, if you have some aches and pains like the flu, you know, you could have the flu. You could have a respiratory infection. You could just have some little bug. So, you know, a lot of people are afraid that we won't want to do that. Well, that's not the case. I mean, we're set up to do it. We've got all the protective stuff we need. I've trained all the guys. We went through several different trainings on this, on how to deal with this. So we're ready to go. But honestly and truthfully, I think maybe people are maybe a little healthier because they've just kind of stayed home and stayed away from people.
Definitely. Do you think that Sudan and the surrounding area was adequately prepared as a community for this pandemic?
I think we were probably as prepared as anybody. Honestly, I think small communities across the whole country, I think, are probably really better prepared than folks that live in the city. Now, you know, we don't have the stores to go to. We don't have some of the other things to go. But one thing that we typically have out here in the agricultural setting is we still have a level of common sense that maybe some people don't really have anymore. And that's not to take away from anybody. It's just that, you know, we see things day to day that maybe could be upsetting or bother somebody that's, say, that lives in a city that's just kind of normal for us. So yeah, I think we're probably better prepared than most.
You know, the state's fixing to start opening things up. What should we do to be more prepared as things do start to open up? I know personally, I'm not going to rush out anywhere. I'm going to stay home a little bit longer. But what tips do you guys have?
Well, now this is just a personal opinion of mine right here that I'm going to say, and then I'll get into the rest of your question. I personally think that out in the rural areas, when we see everything starting to open back up, I think we will see a few of these cases maybe show up out here because, we've really been isolated from it for the most part. Lamb County, as far as I know, as of Friday, and I haven't checked since last Friday, we've had 2 cases in the whole county. When we start opening things back up, people start going to town, going to stores and stuff, we could conceivably be a little bit more exposed than what we are right now. So, I think that we could see that. That being said, I think at least until the people that are a lot smarter than us tell us that it's okay, we need to keep practicing as much as possible our social distancing. We're huggers and shakers out here. That's kind of different. I mean, I'm in Shelby's Bridge today because I don't have this stuff to do this. So Donna put me in here. Well, normally I'm going to hug Donna's neck. Suzanne's over here working on flyers. I'm going to hug her neck. Well, I'm having to stay 6 feet away from them. And, that's not normal for us. And we're going to have to continue to do that for a while. I think if we do that, we be careful about going places, not to say to not go, just be careful about your surroundings. I think we'll be fine. All of the businesses need us back out there and need us supporting them. I can speak from experience. This has been pretty tough, even on me at the shop. So, I get it. We've got to open things back up, but we just need to be careful about how we do it.
Absolutely. Were you asked to collaborate with any other agencies during the past 6 weeks, other than what you normally do?
Well, I wouldn't say it's anything that's not normal. I have all of the EMS agencies in the county, and with Muleshoe, with Bailey County EMS, we've all stayed in pretty close contact, helping each other with supplies, which we've had to get a lot of different supplies. It's not been easy to get. So we've, at one point I was able to find some medicine that we needed for this. At another point, Littlefield EMS was able to find us some masks. Another point, I was able to find some masks. So, we've kind of worked together with each other to make sure that we all have what we need. There's been some sharing going on, and that's good. That's what we're supposed to do. That's who we are in this part of the world.
Absolutely. Have you had an experience or anything that's happened during the past 6 weeks that's impacted you more than usual?
As far as EMS?
EMS, fire, yeah, anything that you've kind of dealt with over the past 6 weeks?
The only thing really that's probably impacted me anymore is you've kept books for me before down at the shop, and you've known me all your life. I'm not a computer guy. I'm not a guy to sit there and read a bunch of emails and do conference calls and things like that. And for the first month of this, I literally would spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a day dealing with stuff that we get from the state through Department of Health Services, State Operations Center, get stuff from the CDC, and wading through this and reading it and making sure that we're staying up to date and making sure that we're doing the things we're supposed to do. So I guess that's the only thing that's impacted me as far as that goes.
Well, Mike, I'll say this for everyone that's watching. We appreciate everything that Sudan EMS and Fire Department does. You are a group of volunteers who, if you guys didn't step up, we wouldn't have this in our community, and we are so thankful. I know my family personally, we've had to use you guys, we've had Garrett started a fire at the house once, but I mean, he's been taken by ambulance too, and we couldn't have a better group of people taking care of us, and I know that you guys are doing all you can, and we appreciate everything that you're doing.
Well, I'm really proud of every one of my guys and gals. I have a couple of gals too. I tell somebody when they come in and wanna work, wanna respond with us, there's only one thing that'll get you run off, and that's if you're not a very good patient advocate. And not only just being an advocate, I mean, these people, we try to treat everyone, whether we actually know you or not, like your family. And that's the way I want my guys to treat people. And I believe we've done a good job of that through the years. And, it is personal. And in most small communities, it's that way. The very next person with Carrie could be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. So if you keep that caring principle about you, I think that makes it good, and I'm really proud of my people because they do a very good job of that.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are definitely what Neighbors to Neighbors is all about, and we thank you so much. So thanks for being with us today, and hopefully this will all end soon, but hopefully the community stream will keep going even though COVID finally disappears. So we'll talk soon, Mike.
I hope it does, but hey, before you let me go, I got one more thing I want to say. Okay. And this pertains to the fire. Y'all know it's starting to get really hot. It's starting to get really dry. I would caution people to be very, very cautious on burning and what they're doing, because we're sitting on a powder keg right now. We've got a lot of grass that's grown the last 2 years that hasn't burnt, so we've got a lot of fuel. So I just caution folks to be very careful, at least till we get it to going back to raining again.
Yep. Did you see the smoke coming from my house this past weekend? Is that why you're saying that?
Well, no, that's not why I'm saying that, but it's sometimes there is things that has to be done. I will say this: we are under a burn ban now, so you're really not supposed to be burning stuff right now. But
good to know. I will pass that along. I did not realize that.
Okay.
So thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, Lisa and Missy here at Muleshoe Medical Center, and Donna just asked us to hop on here and introduce ourselves and just tell a little of our experience over the last couple of weeks with all that's been going on. My name is Lisa Provence, formerly Lisa Edwards. I graduated from Sudan High School in 2002, went on to Texas Tech and received my doctorate of physical therapy in 2008. I'm currently the physical therapy director here at Muleshoe Area Medical Center.
She's the doctor.
Oh, God.
My name's Missy Shultz. I used to be Missy Fisher. I lived in Sudan my whole life, and one of the times I lived away from Sudan was the time when I was in school. I went to Wayland Baptist University first and got my degree in biology and chemistry. Went on to Texas Tech Health Science Center to physical therapy school, where I graduated in 1990 with a bachelor's degree in physical therapy. They advanced that program to a master's degree around 1999 to 2000, and then I guess it transitioned over to a doctorate program
The year I graduated.
So anyway, thank goodness I still get to work and not have to be a doctor, because I don't think I'd go back to school. But anyway, so I've been a PT for, if you think 1990, do the math, about 30 years, but it's not. I really haven't been doing it all that time. I took some time off to stay at home with kids, and so I added it up before I came. So I actually have been practicing 23 years, which is also makes me very old. So, but I wouldn't trade anything. I was going to throw in a question though for you. You can answer it as well. How many years have you been practicing? I didn't do the math on yours.
12 years.
So, what made you want to be a physical therapist? Because that's an interesting question. Why did you choose? I get that all the time. Why did you choose this line of work? So, what was your inspiration?
I think I've always been interested in the medical field. Kind of weighed my options. Knew I wanted to have a family. Would probably live in Sudan, and wanted to have something that was flexible. I could have a family and still work in the medical field, and just did my research and just kind of came across physical therapy. don't have any great story or injury that led me down this path, but I've really enjoyed it. So,
I always thought I would be a coach, and so that's what I went to school to do. And after the first year, I got a suite mate there at Wayland that got sick really bad with Guillain-Barré syndrome, and she was all the way paralyzed down to where she couldn't even shut her eyes. It was all the way paralyzed, and so that was an eye-opening experience to see her come back from that, and I realized how much physical therapy played in that role, that physical therapy played in that. So ever since then, that's what I wanted to do, and it's been very gratifying line of work. I've done all kinds of stuff. Worked in hospitals like we do here, and but also outpatient clinics like we do here. Home health, nursing homes. I worked for a guy in Lubbock for a while. We had our own clinic in in Sudan, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun. But what about you? What's the areas that you've worked?
A little bit of everything. I started out in inpatient rehab at Covenant and transitioned to home health, nursing homes, and then I've been here for the past almost 9 years.
So how we got here together, being both from Sudan, I actually quit working in 2002 to stay home, like I said. And in 2009, Mills Area Medical Center called needing a physical therapist, and so they called me, and I told them no about 3 or 4 times, and they finally called back. I had my youngest Grayson at home at the time, and they called back and said, you can bring her with you. I said, y'all people crazy. So I thought, well, they need it pretty bad. So I went ahead and came to work in 2009 and have been here ever since. So there was another physical therapist here that started with me, and she left. And at that time is when Lisa got hired. So I was glad because, we're both from Sudan, so that's kind of fun to work together. But I would say, as far as my specialization, this is horrible to say, I hate ACL tears, hate them, but I love the ACL rehab. I feel like I've done so many ACLs from a 4-county area that it's ridiculous. And so some of you guys that are watching may have had to go through some sort of a rehab with me through the years, and I'm sorry. I really am. So, Lisa, I don't know, what do you feel like your specialty is?
I think I've had more experience with geriatrics, and I like joint replacements. I think that's more where my experience is in. You're definitely the sports. And I don't want to let y'all know if she rehabs you and you want payback. She had knee surgery a couple years ago. She's
I hit out.
Terrible patient. Terrible.
Oh, dear.
So she was mean to herself, but
I tried.
She was terrible.
Yeah. So we talked about PT school. Sudan-wise, I graduated in 1984 from Sudan High School. And
the year I was born.
Thank you for that. And Lisa, you graduated in 2002. And so, it's kind of fun to think about, small town girls going and being in the big city and getting their education. So that was, there's lots of things that my eyes were open to just living in Lubbock, being in school, but it was nice to get back to home, and we were so blessed to be able to move back to Sudan. My husband Joe Kai and I got married in 1990, and we have had 3 wonderful kids. Kylie, Ashton, and Grayson now is a freshman in high school, and the other 2 are out on their own. So one's teaching in Sudan, Kylie's teaching in Sudan, and Ashton's at Abilene in nursing school. And I have a grandbaby. I have 1 grandbaby, so I'm excited about that. So just getting back to Sudan, I don't think I could live anywhere else. It's just a wonderful place to live, and we are very excited to get to be there. And during this crazy time, being able to continue to work. I know so many people have not gotten to continue to work, but we're very blessed and fortunate here at Muleshoe to be able to continue what's considered essential employment, and we have continued through this time to be able to see our patients. Although we have to get screened at the door, our patients have to get screened at the door. We can't have visitors in the hospital at all, and so we're trying to be very safe about all the events that have gone on. So I'm going to let Lisa talk a little bit about that since she's the department director and she's a little bit more in tune with all the goings-on as far as protecting the public and protecting our patients from what's going on right now.
Yeah, so starting about, 6 weeks ago during spring break, our procedures around here changed. All the entrances are locked except designated. Every person that comes in here, their temperature is taken, and we've now, just here recently, since the virus seems to be getting a little closer to our area, everyone is wearing a mask. We don't have any patients in here right now, that's why we don't have ours on, but everybody's wearing a mask to come in here. I honestly feel a lot safe coming to work. I've told people that I feel safer coming to work than I do going to the store, because I know every person that steps in here, one, they have a reason to be here, and they're being pretty thoroughly screened at the door. And then, of course, we always keep everything really clean, but I think the cleanliness, the sanitation has been stepped up tenfold or more. And our process has changed, daily. We are staying up to date with CDC, all the recommendations, and just monitoring the situation closely. Our caseload has definitely kind of dropped, but that's up to patients if they want to get out. Some people just aren't getting out at all. Some people are. We try to tell them that, just the things I just discussed, that we're closely monitoring the situation. So we have been fortunate enough to continue to work. It's just been a little different, but we're very fortunate.
Yeah, there's been a drop in surgeries and injuries. There's no sports, there's no surgeries, so we've just kind of been a little bit slower. But a lot of people would have been sent home and not been able to work through a slow time. So I appreciate the hospital for allowing us to continue to do what we do, and so hopefully soon we'll get back to normal and have a full clinic of patients. So as far as from two medical professionals, what is our advice, or what have we seen throughout this pandemic? Mine is twofold. I have seen the blessing in this. I know it's a very hard time. It's a very sad time. Lots of people have lost their lives over this, and lost their jobs, lost their families. It's just been kind of heartbreaking in some ways, but in other ways, I think it's been a wake-up call for us to slow down and really take a look at what's important and what the little things are in your life that you appreciate. And I've just enjoyed getting outside and working in the yard and hanging out with my family more than normal. Right now, we would both be doing Little League, playing baseball and softball with our kids, and even though we miss that terribly, I miss sports really bad, but it's just been a nice time to kind of just hang with the family and enjoy that quality time. So I would just, my advice would just be to take advantage of that, not to focus on the negative, to turn off the TV. It seems like the press conference is the same every day, so there's very little new information some days. So just turn off the TV and go outside. It's been so pretty, and that would be my advice. But to also just be smart about what you're doing when you do have to go to the grocery store. Wear a mask. Don't wear gloves. That doesn't help. Just wash your hands a lot and use hand sanitizer. But do wear a mask. That will protect other people. And we can all protect each other. So just be smart, use common sense. Don't go crazy and have a party in your backyard with 250 people. I think that would be a dumb thing to do at this time. But just be smart and go with your gut. That's what I've been trying to do. Do I feel like this would be safe? And if I feel like it would be safe, well, then it's okay. So I know I have a teenager at home that's dying to see her kids, see her friends and other kids, because she just has been isolated from them so bad, and it's just getting to her after so long. So it's hard to say, no, you can't go hang out with 10 of your best friends, and it's just been really hard. So I know you guys have been coping in different ways on Provence Street. So do you have any other addition to what I just said about that?
No, I think just like you said, just common sense right now. Not a time to live in fear, I don't think. It's just a serious virus, but I just don't think it's a time to panic. Just do what the recommendations are. Wash your hands. don't go out if you don't need to be going out. Enjoy that time at home. We've had beautiful weather. I know we've been staying outside sometimes till probably later than my kids should be up, but it's just been so pretty. So just enjoy this time.
We'll wrap up here with our favorite memory of Sudan. I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't actually live in Sudan growing up. When I was 3, we moved to Earth. So my favorite memory, probably as a child, was when I got to come to Sudan. My grandma, Jonelle Bandy, which her name's been on this page quite a bit here lately with all the Sudan history. When I would get to go stay at her house, she was always active in the community. I can't tell you how many times I helped her deliver Meals on Wheels or pass out commodities or clean the hotel to get ready for the 4th of July celebrations. She was just so active in the community, and I think she's definitely smiling down now of all the history that's been talked about, because her house was full of Sudan history. The celebrations we have going on now, she would have loved those. So that was just my favorite times when I got to come to Sudan, and because otherwise it was just, going back to Earth. But I definitely love those times I got to come stay and go out and about and do things for the community with her.
Well, I would say my favorite memory would probably be just playing sports in high school. I love watching my kids play sports, and but before that, I loved participating in sports. And as far down as little dribblers and all the way up, that was just that was always so fun. And we had adults that took the time to teach us things, and that really meant a lot to me. And just growing up in high school and getting to play basketball with my friends, run track with my friends, and those are just memories that you don't forget. So I guess my memory spans many years, but it's all kind of the same, tied to the same thing. So we want to thank Donna Smith for asking us to participate in Neighbor to Neighbor, and we've kind of gone on, but that's okay. There's 2 of us, so we get a little extra time. I think that's okay. But again, thank y'all for listening. Just hang in there. That's really all we can do. I keep thinking back to what everybody keeps saying. We're all in this together. It makes me think of High School Musical. I know DJ loves that movie, so so we are all in this together. So everybody just hang tight and be smart, and don't be fearful, but just be safe. So thanks again for listening, and everybody have a very good day.
Hey everyone, Dean Richards coming to you from Lubbock, Texas. Man, it is good to hang out with you guys just for a second. Some of you guys may remember me. I graduated in 1986, and my parents are longtime residents of Sudan, Ken and Mamie Richards. And gosh, we're so proud of my dad. He just got through building that new gazebo with some help, but he always had a dream of building that gazebo downtown, and so we are sure thankful for him, and it's so cool to get him to get to sing the very first song on the new gazebo this last week. So I'm sure there's going to be more weddings and concerts and all kinds of stuff going on in the park down there in future years. But man, we're so proud of him and so proud of that new gazebo. And my family, my wife and I, we actually still own a janitorial service that runs out to Sudan and Muleshoe and Littlefield and West Texas. And I am a full-time outreach pastor at Church on the Rock and the Lubbock Dream Center. And so, man, it was so good to get to hear that call from Monty when he said, hey, would you mind sharing a quick word and just a word of encouragement and kind of reconnect. So good to hang out with you guys just for a second. And I am very honored to be able to speak and just kind of talk about an encouraging word from the Word of God. I remember growing up in a singing family, and some of you guys remember that, all my high school years. We were singing, and Dad had us harmonizing and all that stuff, and it was so much fun. And one of the scriptures that I remember was Psalms 91, and Dad and some friends, they actually put music to Psalms 91, and so I actually remember memorizing it, and
And as I was thinking about today and talking with you guys and kind of reconnecting and Lord, what would you want me to share from the Word of God? I was thinking about that. Psalms 91. It says, he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge, my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. It's a great picture. He that dwells in the secret place. You know, dwelling is an interesting word. If you think about the word dwell is a word, it means that, you know, we understand dwelling. I mean, if you think about, we are in our dwellings right now. We're in our homes. We're kind of hunkering down, kind of waiting for this pandemic to pass. But dwelling, you know, I remember when I was first married, I had an old Barca lounger that I brought into the marriage. And it was a great old chair, you know. It didn't last long, but it was a good old chair. And loved that chair. I mean, it was just fit me just perfect. I could put my drink on the right-hand side, my sweet tea, and I had my remote over here, and I could get just comfortable, and it was just perfect, right? And just loved that old chair. I would dwell in that chair. I loved it, you know. And I got to thinking about that word, dwell. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High. You know, we're not talking about drive-by. You know, there's so many drive-by Christians, right? They come to church at Easter, and they maybe come at Christmas and a few times in between. You know, maybe they throw some Hail Mary prayers up. I did a lot of that myself when I was growing up. I'd come into Miss Fisher's English class, and she'd say, "Okay, we're going to do a new pop quiz or something," and I'm like, "Oh God, I'm praying right now, you know, Lord help me." Or Miss Sinatra's math class, you know, you'd say, "Well, oh God help me," you know, that's drive-by prayers, you know. I haven't talked with you in a while, Lord, please help. That's not what this is talking about. This is talking about he that dwells, right? Dwells, that gets comfortable, that gets so close to God. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High. There's a secret place that you and I can go to as Christians that the world doesn't know about. You know, when I go shopping right now and I see so many people, it's like this pandemic, it brings out the worst and the best in people. If you're already a fearful person, it kind of magnifies that, and all of a sudden you see fear on display with so many folks. If you trust God, if you're a Christian that's walked with the Lord for many years, it puts that on display as well, you know. It's a secret place that we can find, that we can go to in God. He that dwells, that moves up real close to that secret place in God. That secret place really is the presence of God. God promises us that if we will praise him, God will inhabit the praises of his people, you know. It's one thing to say, I think I remember Dean, you know, yeah, I think I kind of remember his dad Ken and his mom Mamie and maybe his sister Kenna Sue. I remember them. It's another to say, hey, let's go get a cup of coffee. Let me come sit on your couch. Let me come be in your living room. Let's reconnect. Let's get together. Let me inhabit your space, right? That's a whole different thing. The word promises us that when we praise him, when we open up our mouth and we say, Lord, I worship you. You know, we sing a song like, you know, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. When we begin to praise him, when we open up our mouth, God's word promises us that he will inhabit the praises of his people. And then what's so cool is once his presence shows up, the word says that in his presence is fullness of joy. And then guess what? The joy of the Lord is our strength. That is such a good promise to stand on today. When we find that secret place, when we say, Lord, I'm going to dwell in you, I'm going to worship you. I'm going to praise you. I'm going to open up my mouth. I'm going to worship you and praise you. Wow. He that dwells in the secret place shall abide. I love that word, abide. Again, it's not just drive-by Christianity, but it's saying, Lord, I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue to hang out with you. I want to abide in you. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Man, that's getting pretty close to somebody. Well, if I get in someone's shadow, I'm right next to them, under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge, my fortress. In Him will I trust. It's interesting that it says, I will say. What are you saying right now? You know, what are you saying? The word says that life and death is in the power of our tongue. If we open up our mouth and we say, like the word of God, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. If I say that, then I'm coming into agreement with God's word, and I'm declaring that. Or I can choose to say, oh, I'm fearful. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm worried. I'm stressed out, right? We can say whatever we want to say, right? But right there, it says, the Word of God says in Psalms 91, I will say of the Lord, you know what? He is my refuge. He is my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. That's what I memorized. That's the song that we put words to, and beautiful song. The part that I didn't memorize, that I just was reminded of during this pandemic, was verse 3. Verse 3 says that God will rescue us from every trap. And check this out. It says, and protect us from deadly disease. Wow. How fitting for where we are right now. If we choose to dwell in God, to abide in His presence, to find that secret place, if we choose to say with our mouth, Lord, you are my refuge, my rock, then guess what? His word, He promises, He says that He will rescue us and He will protect us from deadly disease. I love that. We can stand on God's promises. It goes on in verse 6 and says, we don't have to dread disease that stalks in darkness. Wow. It just seems like this disease is stalking us in darkness right now, you know. So many people are so afraid. It goes on in verse 9 and says, just think about that. If you make the Lord your refuge, if you make the Lord the Most High your shelter, then guess what? He promises that He will order angels to protect you wherever you go. That's a big word, if. You know, I think we need to change that if to when. When we make the Lord our refuge, when we make the Most High our shelter, guess what? We can stand in the protection of God. Amen. I encourage you to go read Psalms 91. Begin to sing, man. Take an old hymn or something, and, you know, Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound. Thank you, Lord, for saving me. Thank you that you saw this time coming. You knew it was going to be here. We can trust, we can rest in you. But it starts with us finding that secret place. I encourage you today, find that secret place in Him. Good to hang out with you. Hopefully we'll reconnect soon. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Join us again next week on the Community Stream when we move to our once-a-week programming schedule. The Community Stream will now air on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Thank you again for watching the Community Stream.